There is a type of success that seems to defy all the common rules we know. It is not the result of long, exhausting nights of work, nor a conquest journey filled with sweat and tears. Instead, it arrives naturally and appears effortless, like an unimpeded flow. Witnessing this, we often wonder if they are simply lucky, blessed with innate talent, or if they possess some secret about how the world operates. But if we look deeper, beyond the surface of outcomes, we will discover that this ease actually stems from a particular mindset, one that does not focus on trying harder, but on thinking differently. This poses a profound question. While most of us struggle to push heavy boulders uphill, is there a way to find a gentler slope, where gravity seems to assist rather than hinder our steps? The answer lies not in working less, but in completely altering the mental model that drives our actions. The key shift from a state of strain to a state of flow can be explained by solid psychological principles. At its core, it involves moving from a scarcity mindset to an approach mindset. The scarcity mindset, fueled by fear and a sense of never having enough, makes us believe that success is a limited resource to be fought over, and that every effort must come at the cost of exhaustion. In contrast, the approach mindset, built on a foundation of curiosity and internal alignment, sees challenges as puzzles to be solved, rather than obstacles to be overcome. This fundamental difference affects everything, from how we set goals. Instead of rigid goals based on fear of failure, they set flexible systems based on personal interests and values, to how they handle failure, viewing it as feedback data rather than judgment. This mindset is linked to the psychological concept of an internal locus of control, where an individual believes they can influence life outcomes through their own actions and choices, reducing feelings of helplessness and energy drain. One of the most prominent mental frameworks observed in these individuals is the ability to work with the system against the system. Instead of relying on sheer willpower, a resource easily depleted according to ego depletion theory, they invest a significant portion of their mental energy in designing their environment and habits. They understand that motivation is a fragile state, while systems and processes are reliable. For example, a successful writer does not always wait for inspiration. Instead, they establish an immutable habit, writing 500 words every morning in the same quiet space. They don't struggle with the decision to write or not. The established system automatically guides them into a working state. This frees the mind from trivial decisions, preserving cognitive energy for the creative work itself. They don't fight procrastination by self-reproach. They eliminate the possibility of procrastination from the outset by creating the path of least resistance toward the desired action. This behavior aligns with nudge theory and choice architecture, where the environment is structured to naturally support better decisions. The second psychological angle relates to the concept of cognitive leverage points. These individuals have an innate ability to identify which 20% of effort can yield 80% of the results. The Pareto Principle applied to their thinking. They don't distribute energy evenly. They deliberately ask, what is the one thing that by doing it would make everything else easier or unnecessary? This focus requires analytical sharpness and the courage to ignore busy tasks that don't create real value. An entrepreneur, instead of trying to solve every operational problem themselves, might realize that hiring an excellent virtual assistant to handle scheduling and email would free up hours each week, allowing them to focus on high-level growth strategies. This is the leverage point. This type of thinking avoids the trap of perfectionism, which often leads to paralysis and burnout. They embrace the concept of good enough for low-impact tasks and reserve perfection for key areas. This requires deep self-awareness of one's core values and goals, allowing them to filter out the noise and focus only on significant signals. Finally, and perhaps most crucially, is the mindset of integrating the personal and the professional. For them, the boundary between work and passion, between obligation and interest is often blurred. They typically find or create domains where their identity, values, and natural skills fully intersect with what the world needs. This is tied to self-determination theory, which emphasizes that sustainable motivation and peak performance stem from satisfying three core psychological needs: competence, autonomy, and relatedness. When a person operates from this position, energy seems to be replenished by the action itself, rather than being drained. A passionate teacher who views teaching as a natural extension of their love for sharing knowledge and connecting with people will feel far less burnout than a colleague who sees it merely as a job to complete. They are not working in the traditional sense. They are expressing themselves through meaningful contribution. Success in this case is not a destination to be reached through sacrifice, but a natural byproduct of living in alignment with one's nature and purpose. Therefore, the secret to seemingly effortless success is not about avoiding hard work, but about the intelligent choice of where to place one's attention and energy. It is the art of replacing struggle with alignment, replacing force with design, and replacing fragmentation with integration. Perhaps the greatest challenge for each of us is not to learn how to endure more, but to pause long enough to ask, is my current struggle a sign of courage, or is it actually a symptom of an inefficient mental model? When we begin to reorient our minds from believing success must come from suffering to believing it can arise from a deep understanding of oneself and systems, we may discover that the path ahead does not need to be a rugged, vertical climb. Instead, it can be like learning to navigate the current of a river, where understanding the underlying flows and eddies allows us to move farther, faster, with significantly less energy expenditure, and above all, with a profound sense of harmony with the journey we are undertaking.